And I think it's really important. We need to stand up against this fascist takeover. That's not a bad word. It's a fact.
I will say that Bernie Sanders
You guys are crazy!
You're an animal! Get a job!
Listening to my colleagues, the Democrats on the other side of the aisle, complain and whine and defend illegal aliens that break the law the minute they cross our border.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. What you just saw is the kind of explosive truth the mainstream media will never touch. You won't see it on CNN, and you definitely won't hear it on MSNBC, because moments like this completely shatter their narrative. This was the moment when Marjorie Taylor Greene finally said, "Enough," and went head-to-head with one of Congress's most controversial figures, Rashida Tlaib. What followed wasn't just another debate. It was a public political reckoning. In this video, we're breaking down how MTG, armed with cold, hard facts, dismantled Tlaib's claims so thoroughly that even Congress couldn't ignore it. The result? A formal censure. A rare, humiliating rebuke on the national stage. The media loves to paint Greene as the unhinged one, but today, you'll hear her argument point by point and watch how Tlaib's own words expose themselves. By the end, it's painfully clear why this takedown wasn't just justified. It was a win for accountability, truth, and the American people. So grab your seat, because this is one political showdown you need to see all the way through. Let's dive in.
The first bill of the new Congress will put a target on the back of millions of our neighbors that work so hard, that build up our communities. It is also going to increase militarization of our neighborhoods. As somebody that grew up in Southwest Detroit, where you'll find 20 different ethnicities, people from all over the world, came together, and you should see how beautifully diverse it is, but how they built up communities and neighborhoods. They're an integral part of our neighborhood. And one of the things that I have been seeing over and over again on social media already, Mr. Chair, is literally militarization of Border Patrol, officials everywhere, just people scared and petrified because that's what's exactly happening, because this promotes racial profiling. The bill blatantly violates due process. I mean, these are literally being allegations and charges, not actual convictions. Y'all act like if somebody's undocumented, they can't be deported. They can. As a former immigration attorney, I know that for a fact. You're making this up so you can literally allow people to be profiled and discriminated against. Blame them for the cost of eggs? Is that what we're doing here? We're blaming them because you guys can't get corporate greed on a side that is a disease that is killing our economy? People can't afford housing? You think it's because of our immigrant neighbors? No. If you cared truly about fixing our immigration system, you'd go fix it so that U.S. citizens married to undocumented spouses can actually adjust their status. Where we have mixed statuses because for 30 years, we've ignored and vilified immigrants. Enough is enough. It will separate families. It would lead again to continued discrimination. It's shameful that my colleagues are giving in to racist fear-mongering at the first opportunity to pass legislation to scapegoat our immigrant neighbors and fuel hate in our communities. I know what's going to happen. It won't just be undocumented. It'll be people like my mother who will get stopped and profiled. She have to carry her U.S. passport around? Are we asking people now to have documentation? That's what you want to turn our neighborhoods into, is militarization?
I yield the gentlelady an additional 30 seconds.
Gentlelady is recognized.
I just ask all of you to truly understand what this will do to our communities.
Now let's unpack what really went down on the House floor, because this wasn't just another speech. This was a defining moment in America's ongoing culture war. First, let's talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene's courage. Whether you agree with her or not, one thing's undeniable. It takes serious guts to stand in that chamber, knowing the entire media, Hollywood, and political establishment are waiting to rip you apart, and still deliver the plain, unapologetic truth. She didn't rely on emotion or theatrics. She came armed with facts and receipts. One by one, she laid out Rashida Tlaib's history of inflammatory rhetoric, from her past remarks downplaying the Holocaust to her controversial use of the phrase, "from the river to the sea," a slogan many view as a direct call for the eradication of the Jewish state. Greene didn't shout. She didn't perform. She methodically presented a factual indictment against a sitting member of Congress whose words have repeatedly fueled division and hatred. That's what leadership looks like. Putting country before comfort, truth before approval, and accountability before silence.
Colleagues, to please vote no on this divisive bill. And it's so important to understand what you're going to turn our communities and our neighborhoods into. We can't allow that to continue to happen. With that, I yield.
Listening to my colleagues, the Democrats on the other side of the aisle, complain and whine and defend illegal aliens that break the law the minute they cross our border is pathetic. The American people are so sick and tired of it. They cannot believe what our country has gone through. And it is enough. It is absolutely enough. But they will go on to defend anyone that is not American because of their America Last policies. You talk about tax dollars used. Our tax dollars should be used defending Americans. And you want to talk about spending a lot of money? Spending a lot of money should happen for American causes, American purposes, and American security. Laken Riley is a young woman who should be living her American dream, and she had the right to do it. But people that come across our border illegally are not Americans, and they do not have rights here. And that is exactly why anytime they break a law, anytime they cross into our country, they should be rounded up and shipped out as fast as possible. And if we need to build more prisons, then we'll do it. A resolution censuring Representative Rashida Tlaib for anti-Semitic activity, sympathizing with terrorist organizations, and leading an insurrection at the United States Capitol complex. Whereas in May 2019, Rashida Tlaib said that she celebrated the Holocaust and felt a calming feeling when thinking about the genocide of millions of Jews. Whereas in 2020, Rashida Tlaib retweeted an illustration with the caption, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." And this Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO slogan, has been adopted by Hamas and calls for the elimination of Israel and death to all Jews. Whereas in September 2022, Rashida Tlaib, as a member of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, displayed her disdain for Israel, saying, "You cannot claim to hold progressive values, yet back Israel's apartheid government." Whereas instead of denouncing the horrors of Hamas, slaughtering Israelis, and demanding the release of all hostages held by Hamas, Rashida Tlaib stated on October 8, 2023, "The path to the future must include lifting the blockade, ending the occupation, and dismantling the apartheid system that creates the suffocating, dehumanizing conditions that can lead to resistance." Whereas Rashida Tlaib exhibited her hatred for America by reposting a message on October 12th.
Now let's look at Rashida Tlaib's response and ask a simple question. Did she defend the American people? Did she acknowledge the pain her words caused Jewish Americans? Did she even attempt to restore unity? No. Instead, her reaction turned into another emotional plea centered not on accountability, but on shifting the narrative. She painted herself as a victim, claiming this was an attack on millions rather than a moment to face her own rhetoric. When challenged, she tried to deflect with lines like, "You think the cost of eggs is because of immigrants, but that's not what this was about. The reality is, when millions enter the country illegally, systems designed for legal citizens collapse under the weight. Hospitals overflow, schools stretch thin, and jobs and housing get squeezed. It's not politics, it's basic supply and demand." But instead of addressing the issue honestly, Tlaib deflected blame, accusing corporations, invoking race, and gaslighting Americans into thinking their frustration is misplaced. In her worldview, the American taxpayer, the rule follower, and the law-abiding citizen always come last. And that's the heart of her agenda. America last, ideology first.
Blaming America for allowing the deaths of Palestinian babies at the hands of Israel. Whereas Rashida Tlaib led an insurrection at the United States Capitol complex on October 18, 2023, which put members of Congress, their staffs, and Capitol visitors in danger by shutting down elevators, stairwells, and points of egress while obstructing official business in both the House of Representatives and the Senate, including a Senate Foreign Affairs Committee hearing. Whereas the insurrection led by Rashida Tlaib was organized by Jewish Voice for Peace, which the Anti-Defamation League calls a radical anti-Israel activist group that advocates for a complete economic, cultural, and academic boycott of the state of Israel, and that believes Israeli policies and actions are motivated by deeply rooted Jewish racial chauvinism and religious supremacism. Whereas members of the Southern Poverty Law Center, a far-left nonprofit organization, were present at the insurrection at the Capitol on October 18, 2023. Whereas several insurrectionists at the Capitol belong to a group messaging chat called Global Intifada, which is the Arabic word for rebellion or uprising, and refers to a series of protests and violent riots carried out by Palestinians in Israel during the last century. Whereas by leading an anti-American and anti-Semitic insurrection on October 18, 2023, Rashida Tlaib followed Hezbollah's orders to carry out a day of unprecedented anger following an explosion at a Gazan hospital, lying about Israel's responsibility for the attack, which United States intelligence agencies said was not perpetrated by Israel. And whereas members of Congress who denounce the United States while praising terrorist organizations are unfit to hold office, now therefore be it resolved that Representative Rashida Tlaib be censured. Representative Rashida Tlaib forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure, and Representative Rashida Tlaib be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker.
And that's exactly why this censure matters. This wasn't theater. It wasn't symbolism. It was Congress formally condemning one of its own for repeated use of dangerous, divisive rhetoric and failure to uphold the dignity of federal office. A censure is permanent, a historical mark of disgrace that won't fade with time. Greene made sure this moment couldn't be buried under media spin or partisan cover-ups. But let's be real. Rashida Tlaib isn't the only one. She's part of a broader ideological movement, the Squad, a group that often sides against American interests, undermines unity, and speaks more passionately for foreign causes than for the families they were elected to represent. Greene's actions pulled the curtain back on a truth the media refuses to report. She did the job journalists abandoned long ago, forcing the country to confront a hard question. Will more Republicans find the backbone to follow through, or will they fold under media pressure and retreat into safe, scripted opposition? Now I want to hear from you. Was this the right move? Did Greene do what needed to be done, or did she go too far? Drop your thoughts below. This conversation matters more than ever. And if you found this breakdown eye-opening, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Because around here we don't sugarcoat the truth. We deliver it raw, real, and unapologetically pro-America. Let's keep the fight for truth going.